Hi, hello. I am GV Srinivas Rao, Principal Atomic Energy Central School, Kodankulam. The present topic is Atomic Structure, Module 2. In the previous module, we discussed about discharge tube, cathode rays production and their characteristics, Millikan's oil drop experiment, and calculation of charge and mass of electron. In the present module, we discuss the anode rays and their characteristics, Thomson's model of atom, Rutherford's alpha ray scattering experiment, Rutherford's model of atom, and atomic spectra. Now let us know about the production of anode rays in discharge tube.
Anode rays. Goldstein in 1886 conducted the discharge ray tube experiments with a perforated cathode. So this is a modified discharge tube in which this is the perforated cathode. Here these are the small holes present in the cathode. So here this is anode. And here when high voltage is applied between anode and cathode, cathode rays are produced and they travel towards anode. Here on the cathode and on the glass tube, zinc sulfide is coated, therefore that becomes a fluorescent screen as these rays fall on this anode and behind the anode, scintillations are observed. So by observing these scintillations, we know that the cathode rays are produced from cathode and they travel towards anode. On the other hand, as holes are observed, holes are made here, he observed some of the scintillations are observed here on the cathode side, on which some fluorescent screen is applied. And here these scintillations must be due to certain radiations coming from here. So here what happened here? So these rays might have come from the anode, and of course the rays coming from the anode, they penetrated through the holes, and the rays which are penetrated through the holes and they fall on this zinc sulfide screen and scintillations are observed. As these rays penetrated through holes, which are also referred as canals, so these rays are called as canal rays, and as these rays are coming from anode, they are also called as anode rays. Now what is the reason for anode rays? See here, when high voltage and high pressure is applied, some of the gas or some air is left here. So on the application of high voltage, the gas particles or any other air particles, they lose electrons. So the electrons which are lost from these gas particles, they travel in the form of a stream, which are nothing but cathode rays, and they are electrons. Now, when every gas particle, that is atom or molecule, when it loses an electron, the leftover particle has a positive charge. So all these positively charged particles, they are attracted towards the cathode, and of course they penetrate through the holes, and hence positively charged rays, that is nothing but anode rays or canal rays, are produced and they travel towards cathode from anode.
E. Goldstein constructed a special tube known as a canal ray tube. These tubes usually have two chambers, which are separated by a perforated metallic disc severed as cathode of the discharge tube. The space between anode and cathode of the discharge tube contains a small number of residual gas molecules. The anode and cathode are supplied with high voltage. The electrons emitted from the cathode collide with the residual gas molecules. These collisions knock an electron out of each gaseous atom, generating positively charged ions, which are accelerated towards the cathode, and they pass through the holes in the cathode, producing a beam of positively charged particles on the back of the cathode. As the positively charged particles pass through the holes or the canals in the cathode, they are called canal rays. W. Wien succeeded in deflecting the canal rays. He made one small circular hole in the cathode and introduced two plates behind the cathode. When a strong electric field is applied between the plates, the particles are attracted towards the negative electrode, so that these are positively charged particles. Therefore, these are often called as positive rays.
Characteristics of anode rays. The mass of positively charged particles of anode rays depends upon the nature of the gas used in the discharge tube. If hydrogen gas is used, of positively charged particle produced is 1 unit, and if helium gas is used, the mass would be 4 units. The charge to mass ratio of the particles depends on the gas from which these rays originate. Some of the positively charged particles carry a multiple of fundamental unit of electric charge. They deflect towards cathode in electric field. Discovery of proton and neutron. In discharge tube experiments in the course of analysis of anode rays carried out by Goldstein, it was observed that E by M ratio was maximum when hydrogen gas used. This indicates that positive ions formed by hydrogen gas are lightest. These lightest particles are named as protons. Chadwick in 1932 performed scattering experiment in which he bombarded some light elements like beryllium and boron with fast moving alpha particles. He found that new particles emitted which carried no charge, that is neutral, but had a mass equal to that of protons. This particle was named as neutron. Now let us know about Thomson's model of atom.
From discharge tube experiments conducted by Thomson and other scientists, it is understood that atoms have electrons, that is negatively charged particles. From Goldstein experiments of anode rays, atoms have the positive charge. When the atom has positive charge and negative charge, how they are arranged in the atom? Thomson proposed the arrangement of positive charge and negative charge in the atom, and that is known as Thomson's model of atom. So according to his model of atom is full of positive charge. So all this is positive charge. Negatively charged electrons are embedded all along the positive charge, just like the seeds in watermelon fruit. So thus atom is full of positive charge and negatively charged electrons are scattered all along the positive charge, just like the seeds in a watermelon fruit. Therefore such a model is Thomson's model of atom, or it is also called as a plum pudding model, or it is also called as watermelon model of atom.
Defect in Thomson's model. As per Thomson's model, atom is full of positive charge and negatively charged electrons are embedded all along the positive charge, just like seeds in watermelon fruit. So as per this model, positive charge is uniformly distributed all along the atom. Thomson's model could explain the electrical neutrality of the atom, but it was not consistent with the results of later experiments. Radioactivity. The spontaneous emission of radiations from certain elements whose atomic numbers are more than 82 and their compounds is called radioactivity. These radiations cannot be stopped or cannot be altered, and such radiations are called radioactive radiations, and this phenomenon was discovered by Henry Becquerel in 1896. The radiation emitted by uranium was analyzed in the presence of a strong magnetic field. In the presence of strong magnetic field, these radiations split into three different rays. One radiation deflected to less extended towards left side because of the more mass, and this radiation is alpha radiation. Alpha radiation or alpha rays are made up of alpha particles. One radiation deflected to more extended to right side, and this radiation is called beta radiation. Beta radiation or beta rays are made up of beta particles which are nothing but electrons. The radiation which goes undeviated is gamma radiation. Now let us learn the characteristics of radioactive rays. Property: alpha rays, beta rays and gamma rays. Mass. Mass of each alpha particle is 4 units, and beta particle, that is electron, it is same as electron, and gamma radiation has no mass. Charge. Charge of alpha particle is plus 2 units, whereas beta particle, that is electron, is minus 1 unit, and gamma radiation does not have any charge. Velocity. Velocity of alpha particles is 1/10 that of light, and for beta radiation it is nearly same as the light, and for gamma radiation same as that of light. Effect of electric field. Alpha rays deflect towards the cathode, indicating that they carry positive charge, whereas beta rays deflect towards anode, and gamma radiation, because they do not have any charge, they pass undeviated. Identity. Each alpha particle is considered as a nucleus of helium atom, whereas each beta particle is nothing but electron, and gamma rays, they are electromagnetic radiations. Penetrating power in air is very small, and beta radiation 100 times to that of alpha rays, and for gamma radiation it is very large, 10,000 times to that of alpha rays. Now let us discuss the scattering of alpha particles conducted by Rutherford.
Rutherford's alpha ray scattering experiment. Let us have some previous knowledge. Helium. Helium is the lighter gas, and it has atomic number is 2, mass number 4, which indicates that helium has 2 protons and 2 neutrons in its nucleus, and it has 2 electrons. Suppose if these 2 electrons are removed, then this becomes the nucleus of helium atom, and it carries 2 units of positive charge due to the presence of 2 protons, and it carries 4 units of mass due to the presence of 2 protons and 2 neutrons. So such a nucleus of helium atom is alpha particles. Now in this experimental setup, a small amount of radioactive substance like uranium is taken here in this lead block. This is lead block. So this lead prevents the scattering of alpha particles in different directions, because lead absorbs alpha particles. So these alpha particles are passed through a small hole kept in this cavity, and these alpha particles are made to fall on a very thin foil of gold. Thin gold foil of thickness 10 to the power minus 5 centimeters. Why only gold is used? Gold is highly malleable. It can be drawn into very thin sheets. A thickness of 10 to the power 5 centimeters is believed to have 1000 layers of atoms in such a thin sheet. Not only that, gold is highly inert. So the alpha particles fall on this gold foil. They are penetrated through this gold foil. How do we know that they penetrated? Here, and a setup is kept here. This is a fluorescent screen. A circular fluorescent screen is kept which covers the gold foil. So the alpha particles penetrated. Now here Rutherford made some observations. By observing the scintillations formed on this fluorescent screen by a microscope. So most of the alpha particles penetrated and fell on the same spot, say that is A, which may be referred as a usual spot. Few alpha particles deflected through certain angle as scintillations are observed at different places on this circular fluorescent screen. And 1 or 2 alpha particles out of 10,000 or 20,000 particles, it deflected through 180 degrees. That means almost the alpha particle penetrated back. So these observations, from these observations, what can we understand? So as most of the alpha particles penetrated through gold foil, that is most of the scintillations are made at the same spot. It may be concluded that the gold foil, that is, the gold foil is full of atoms and the atom is almost empty. Since atom is empty, most of the alpha particles could penetrate through the foil. Since few scintillations are made at different points, that is, a few alpha particles are deflected. Deflected means they are repelled. They are repelled and of course they change their path. Why they are repelled? So you know that alpha particle carries a positive charge. Such a positively charged and massive alpha particle is repelled. We know that like charges repel each other. So since a positively charged alpha particle is repelled, means there should be some positive charge present in the atoms of gold sheet. And of course that can be verified by this observation also. Out of 10,000 or 20,000 alpha particles, only one deflected back. That means that alpha particle might have struck the positively charged particle present in the atom directly, therefore it reverted back.
This is the schematic representation of Rutherford's alpha ray scattering experiment. And this is the schematic molecular view of the gold foil.
In 1910, Rutherford and his co-workers were studying the angles at which alpha particles were scattered as they passed through a thin gold foil. Most of the alpha particles passed through undeflected. However, a few were found to be scattered at large angles, some even back in the direction from which they had come. This meant that they had collided with an object much more massive than the alpha particles themselves, yet so small that only a few alpha particles encountered them. This atomic level view shows what is happening. Most of the atom is occupied by the low mass electrons. The nucleus is small and massive. When an alpha particle encounters a nucleus, it is scattered at a large angle.
Rutherford's model of atom. Based on the observations made from alpha ray scattering experiment and conclusions drawn, Rutherford proposed his model of atom. According to the Rutherford's model of atom is mostly empty. Most of the mass of the atom is densely concentrated in extremely small region, and this very small portion of the atom is called nucleus. The nucleus is surrounded by electrons that move around the nucleus with very high speed in circular paths called orbits. Thus, Rutherford's model of atom resembles a solar system in which nucleus plays the role of sun and electrons that of revolving planets. Thus, this model is also called as nuclear model of atom. Electrons and nucleus are held together by electrostatic forces of attraction. Nucleus is very small when compared to that of atom. Atom has a size of 10 to the power minus 10 meters, whereas the nucleus has the size of 10 to the power minus 15 meters. Spectrum. when a white ray of light is passed through a prism, it splits into 7 colors. The red light having least frequency and maximum wavelength bends to less extent. Red light bends to less extent. And the violet light has more frequency and least wavelength deviates bend to more extent. Thus, a spectrum is obtained by the white light and it is called visible spectrum. In this visible spectrum, all colors are merged. That is, violet merges into blue, blue merges into green, and hence there is no line of separation of each color. Here all the colors are merged. Thus, this spectrum is called a continuous spectrum. Rainbow is an example of a continuous spectrum. Now let us discuss the atomic spectrum. Emission spectrum. When a sample of gas or vapor of a substance is supplied with energy, they excite. That is, electrons in their ground states enter into the next higher levels. This is called excited state. In excited state, atoms are unstable. Thus, excited electrons come to their ground state by emitting the absorbed radiation. This absorbed radiation is caught on the screen or photographic film and a spectrum is obtained with bright lines on the dark background. This is called atomic emission spectrum. This is atomic emission spectrum, and in this spectrum, bright lines are observed on dark background. Absorption spectrum. When a sample is irradiated continuously, the sample absorbs of certain wavelengths. The missing wavelengths which correspond to the radiation absorbed by the matter, which leaves dark spaces on white background. The spectrum obtained in this manner is called atomic emission spectrum. Here, dark spaces are observed on a bright background. In emission spectrum and absorption spectrum of the same element, lines are obtained at the same frequency, which are called spectral lines. Only the difference between the both is that in emission spectrum, bright lines are observed on dark background, whereas in absorption spectrum, dark lines are observed on a bright background. Line atomic spectra are of great importance in the study of electronic structure. Every element has a unique line spectrum. In chemical analysis of an unknown element, the characteristic lines of the atomic spectra are compared with the standard spectrum, and hence the nature of the element is identified. Thus, atomic spectrum is like fingerprints of a human in the process of identification of the elements. In the next module, let us discuss the failure of Rutherford's model, nature of electromagnetic radiation, quantum theory, photoelectric effect, and hydrogen spectrum. Thank you.